I do see that it's streaming live on YouTube. Sean, you want to have Melissa
Go for it.
reply to all on the post I just sent out?
Amazing. I just have the email.
Sean, you want to
I've got the email open, and I've got two phones going at once trying to push it out.
have Melissa?
Yeah. I've got it right here.
On the post I just sent out.
It's Sean. I just have the email. I've got
now we're getting feedback pretty bad.
Going at once trying to push it out.
Have Melissa?
Yeah. I've actually oh my gosh. Got it right here. Yeah.
This is why we practice, people.
Hey, where is it at on the YouTube?
Oh, look at him. So cute.
All right, Dave. Go ahead. This is your
Is that Mike? Oh, there he is.
I suddenly got chills.
Man.
Hey,
that beard's unauthorized.
He's already crying.
Shoot.
He's already crying. Look at him.
Look at you guys.
Be good, Michael.
She did good. She kept it a surprise for me.
Good.
Did you really honestly think we were going to let you get away with nothing?
I was just kind of waiting to see how this thing was going to play out. You know.
You contacted me. You contacted me last week. Hey, I think I want to put something together, do a little something for the family. Blah blah blah. I was like, yeah, man, let's do it. Anything you need.
I know, but I have a bunch of.
There we go. Now I can see everybody.
So should I tell them to search?
They can everybody.
Hey, Rob, see, other people got it. Hey,
So I'm trying to do the backup.
Oh, that.
Mike, we're having a couple technical difficulties. The plan is to start at 1400 your time.
Properly.
Also trying to stream this live. Facebook.
Yeah, Sam's got it. Her live going right now.
Okay.
Hey, Christina.
Hi.
It's got to be capital.
Hey, Cecilia.
Capital.
How come I can't see him?
Hey, Melissa, if
they have
if
to talk
go to
for
my
you to see him.
Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
That it wouldn't be able to.
On the computer, I can see everybody. I've got the ability to see
that's on
everybody.
Facebook, they can easily go to this YouTube. Everybody that's not even on YouTube, they can still.
Hey, Graham, how you doing, bro?
Okay.
Are you eating?
What's up? Always, you know it.
Okay?
Yes.
You did good.
Hey, Jess.
So now if you pin somebody.
What up?
Jess, and while I was packing my room up because we're getting ready to move, I still have your kitty cookie intact in the bag, uneaten.
Melissa, if you get a chance, can you go to the post I just posted that I tagged Mike in and make a comment that we're actually going to have to go live on YouTube?
Nathan, I don't know. They're dealing with it. Hi, Macy.
Macy's not here.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
Just feedback. Somebody's got their stuff too. Hey, Wyatt.
Mijo.
Yeah, ma.
No, Nathan's gonna fix it where I can see everybody.
We're too close together. That's what.
Are you in Dallas, ma? Sure are.
Yeah. Hey, Nathan.
Hey, Michael, I see you there with your background.
Michael.
Josh.
Hey, Terry.
Problems.
Lori.
Click on big screen.
Is that D?
I will send it to William.
What's up, brother?
Need it like ASP.
Oh, my bad.
Bobbit, they got you too?
Yeah, they got me. They got me.
Oh man, you guys are awesome.
Is that Hector?
I was just trying to so that we can be here. Oh. All right. Y'all tell me then. I don't know what's going on. Sneaky around here. Yes, please. Probably gonna need some tissues too.
Oh, I can do that.
Just send Ari. Go upstairs and get the tissues on my side. Hey, Haley.
Wyatt, that's a hell of a green screen you got going there.
Hey, Sean, while I was packing, I still have your retirement plaque from the NDW.
That's about right.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Really? Not that. No, thank you. They can hear you. Hey, Jason, I didn't see you there. How you doing, sir? Is he there? Oh, look, Jeremy's on.
I saw him over there.
Hey, bud. You want to say hi?
Yeah. Oh,
Hey,
shoot.
We can hear you.
Michael.
What's up?
What's up, man?
Look, they're doing it on live. You can watch it.
Oh, what?
Here's this thing.
Man, that's awesome.
That's the perfect shirt to be wearing for this, Ant.
Thank you, sir. Did it just for you.
Were you surprised,
Huh?
Were you surprised?
Yeah. She told me we were going on a date.
Were you surprised?
So I thought like 2 weeks ago, she told me we were going on a date, maybe 3.
Well, we're your date now.
Yeah. And even today, she started brushing, the kid's hair, and I was like, oh, I guess we're all going. It's not just a date. And then as they're finishing getting ready, Captain Mueller shows up. He's like, I've got your things. I'm like, well, damn, I guess they just kicked me out the office.
Mike's like, you're going on a date with us too?
Good to see you, Mike.
Okay.
Good to see you, sir.
It's good to see you too, brother. That's why you my hair.
got his name
Oh
on it.
yeah, see, Susan just wrote Derek's listening in the background.
Oh, okay. Ready?
Okay, who's that? Who's Dave?
Dave?
Where's Gabe? Somebody else where Gabe was? Is that what that?
Dave, a coffee or something like that? Ready?
Who's talking?
When it shows up. When it shows up.
Over.
Yeah, he's calming down.
Let her.
Really came here.
No.
We don't see Mason.
That?
We're here.
With a pump.
Right there. Hi, May. Can she hear me? Oh, these people.
Hey Chad, how you doing?
Hey, doing good. How you doing? How's it going, Mike?
I'm good. We're good. Hey, Sela.
Hey.
Wyatt, you shaved? You're muted, brother. You're muted.
Yeah, I shaved on the 17th, my retirement date. So I said I'll shave once a year on May 17th. Now everybody wants me to grow it back, so it's growing back.
Okay, Sean needs to follow that.
Hey, I've been clean shaven at least 3 times since I retired.
So, hey everyone. So the intention for this was for Zoom participants to be personnel actually participating in the ceremony and Michael's family. There's a huge backlog of people trying to get into the Zoom, and I don't know if it's Michael's family or not. So I really need to ask you guys that if you're not actively participating in the ceremony or part of Michael's family, to go to the YouTube link, Vice being on Zoom. I apologize for that, but I really want to make sure that Michael's family is as involved as possible.
And Samantha's also streaming it on Facebook Live if you can go to her account. Right? This is, yeah.
All right,
Hey,
Mike,
Dave.
I'm going to switch over, but congratulations, brother. And I'll talk to you more and come enjoy some barbecue when I get a chance.
All right, brother. I appreciate it.
Hey, Dave, what's the link for the
Hey,
YouTube
brother.
link?
The
Hey, Mike, I'm
YouTube
switching
link has
over,
been
but
pasted.
congratulations, man.
You and Sam.
All right, thank you.
The
Awesome.
YouTube
I'm
link,
gonna post
the
to
YouTube
YouTube.
link has been pasted on the Facebook page.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
There you are.
Hey, Michael, we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing as well. Unless Sam wants me to stay on this one here.
No, Ed, stay on. Your family,
Okay.
brother.
All right, just checking.
Yeah, if you got an invite, if you got a personal invite from Samantha or from the team coordinating, stay on.
Okay, sounds good.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah. Hey, Nomi.
Hello, Michael. You need to get over.
Hey, Tia Ruth.
Hey, hi. So happy for you.
Thank you.
I wish we could be there.
Yeah, I know. I wish we could have had this in person.
I know. We had plans to go in April, you know, but it didn't happen.
Yeah. Hey, Theo, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. We're very
Proud of you.
proud of you and happy to. We're there with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Michael, we were planning on definitely coming out there as well. And we were definitely looking forward to it. So yeah, congrats to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you tag me?
Where are the kids? Mike, where are the kids?
They're occupying their time right now. They're looks like they're playing Go Fish and coloring.
Good.
Yeah, Mike, I'm gonna shift over to you. Congratulations.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Have you already given your candy?
No. Okay. Why am I?
Have you already given your candy?
No, I haven't sent it out yet, Ma. And you went black. You went dark. Can't see no. Yeah. Nate, if Mom can't hear me, tell her I didn't send out the candy yet.
Yeah, she can hear you. Her little computer's not wanting to cooperate. You might have to put them on this one.
John Mehoff, can you see? Can you tell how many people are watching your live stream on YouTube?
You want to get off of that one and come over here? You want this one? Yeah, let's log that one off. That way somebody else can have a chance to get in. Log out of it. Close it out. Close it out. So people can have a chance. Huh? We'll leave it on. But
Hey, Michael.
Talk. He said somebody.
More trying to get on.
I have a few. Well, it's not as big as it was on. There's room for more people. What I can see, I don't know how big the Zoom actually is, but there was definitely more on before, so people should be able to get in.
All right, let me know if we need to switch over to Facebook.
Okay. Facebook has 7 people. Hey, Malik, good to see you, brother.
Oh, there are 15 on right now on the Zoom.
Yeah, so it looks like there's about 50 people watching between Facebook and YouTube. Or anybody else is waiting in the to get into Zoom. So I've got 11 minutes after the hour. So I think we can probably get started whenever we want. Mike, is there anybody else you want to say hi to real quick before we kick this off?
Let's see. I see my tia Linda.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I think I got everybody else, so I think we're good.
No.
I know some more people joined on YouTube Live or Facebook Live. So I think we're ready, Dave.
All right, where's my master of ceremonies? You ready here? Let's roll.
All right, you ready, Mike? Started already. So there was 2 goldfish in a tank. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the retirement ceremony for Chief Michael Ozuna. I ask that you please do not secure your cellular device, as you probably need that to continue watching this the ceremony. So feel free to take your seats or a beanbag chair, grab your Cheetos and your favorite COVID drink, and enjoy the rest of the ceremony. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Command Master Chief Retired Bill Mast, your MC for today's retirement ceremony in honor of Chief Michael Ozuna. Many of the customs and ceremonies observed of our modern U.S. Navy were adopted from the early British Navy. As our American Navy matured into its own maritime global force, our Navy established its own specific traditions that we follow today. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Domingo Ozuna, Mike's father, who will deliver the invocation. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. This prayer especially for Michael. He needs a lot of prayer. Okay, let's bow our heads and close our eyes. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for being so good to us. We thank you for the awesome God that you are. And thank you, Lord, for all the blessings that you have given me. And of all the blessings that you have given me, my family has been the biggest blessing you have given me. I thank you for my 2 sons. And today I thank you especially for Michael. And thank you for everything that you have done through him. I pray, Lord, that you will continue opening doors for him and that you would guide him in all the things that he wants to do in the future. I thank you for his family. I thank you for Samantha and for all the kids. And I again thank you for being so good to us. And lead us the rest of this program. For it's in the name of Jesus that I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. That was beautiful. So obviously we have to adapt and overcome. And as I talked about, the Navy established its own traditions. And I think today we are definitely stepping out of the norm and creating our own tradition. And once again, as Mike has always been in the Navy, he is a trendsetter for all to emulate and follow. So great job adapting, overcoming, and making this a training event, Mike. So without further ado, I want to turn it over and get this party started and introduce the guest speaker, a longtime shipmate and friend to a lot of us here on the old Zoom TV today, Chief Retired Dave McGrady. Dave, take it away.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. Mike, I know that this wasn't necessarily the retirement ceremony you had planned. I think we're in the end, though, it's going to be unique. It's going to be something that you remember. And unlike most of us that are wearing the T-shirts and ball caps today, you'll have a very good memory of this via the Facebook Live, and you'll get that every year. As I get older, I forget more and more about what happened with my ceremony. So, I always try and look for the good in things. And 3 obvious good things that I have going for me today, doing this via Zoom, via Advice Live, is 1, I'm not wearing any pants. 2, I don't know that they would let me have my beer at the museum. And 3, you're really not going to be able to kick my ass after I say everything I got to say about you today. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get this started. Good afternoon and welcome to the retirement ceremony of Chief Electronics Technician Submarines Michael S. Ozuna. I would like to recognize and welcome a few people that made today's ceremony possible. Ensign Graham Watts, Master Chief Wyatt Harris, retired. Senior Chief John Matthews, Senior Chief Deoric Lee, retired. Chief Rob Murphy, Chief Delonte Bobbitt, Senior Chief Michael Thomas, retired. Strategic System Programs Command Master Chief Chad Beatty. Today's retirement officer, Commander Artie Miller, Strategic System Programs Navigation Branch Head. Today's Master of Ceremonies, Command Master Chief, retired Bill Mast. And of course, Sean and Melissa Niehoff, who have coordinated all the technical capabilities today, and this wouldn't have been possible without their help. Thank you. I especially want to welcome Mike's beautiful wife, Samantha, and their wonderful children, Paige, Gabe, Ari, Eli, and Dom. I also extend a sincere welcome to Mike's mother and father, Dolores and Domingo. To all Mike's and Samantha's family, friends, shipmates that have taken the time to join us today, thank you. What you're going to witness and participate in today is very special and experienced by very few civilians of this great country. Soak it all in and let's share the experience with our guest of honor. Retirement keynote speeches are normally broken into 4 parts. The introductions, which I'm wrapping up, the boring review of the chief's duty stations, followed by the entertaining part, where the keynote speaker tells 1 or 2 funny stories about the retiree's career, most of which are exaggerations or flat out fabrications. And finally, the serious part, where the speaker describes the retiree's significant accomplishments during his time in service. I will combine the review of the chief's assignments with the C stories about Mike that have been passed down from year to year. Combining parts 2, review of the command history, and 3, the C stories, will hopefully allow for enough time to talk about the 4th part, the accomplishments. Hopefully we'll have time for that. Instead of starting at the beginning of Mike's career, I'm going to talk real quick about what his job has been here at SSP for the last 6 years. I think this will help appreciate just how far a guy from Dallas has come. Are Paige and Gabe available? Are they anywhere around or no? I wanted to talk to them real quick if they're available. Hi, Gabe. How you doing? Hi, Paige. Real quick, do you guys have any idea what your dad's done for the Navy in the last 6 years since you guys moved to Washington, D.C.? Oh, there's Ari. You guys are muted, so you can shake your head yes or no, but do you have any idea? A little bit? All right, well, your dad, he's been working for Strategic Systems Programs, which is the technical authority for the sea-based leg of the triad for the strategic deterrence of the United States. Does that help you out any? Probably not, right? So I'm going to break it down for you real quick, all right? SSP has some real smart people working here at the command. I mean, really, really smart. Like, no kidding, rocket scientist smart people, which is the technical authority space leg of the triad for the strategic deterrence of the United States. That lagging real bad? So these people that work at the command are really smart, like rocket scientists smart. Yeah, your dad's not one of them. Your dad actually has one of the most important jobs at the command. You see, there's currently about 600 navigation electronics technicians serving in the Navy. Those sailors are serving throughout the Navy on submarines, at the training facilities, at multiple staff billets, and various commands. Your dad's job for the last 6 years has been to represent those 600 sailors to those really, really smart people. Your dad was responsible for making sure that every one of those sailors had a voice when one of those super smart engineers came up with a dumb idea. Basically, he ensured that the dumb ideas would work for the sailors serving on the submarines, because most of those super smart engineers never even been on a submarine. Not only that, but he represented the fleet whenever one of them or multiple had a problem with their navigation systems. And when that happens, SSP is required to provide help immediately. Your dad made sure our team stayed on track to resolve the issue at hand and did what was best for the sailor. Keeping a bunch of super smart engineers on track can be very difficult to do. Your dad, he did it better than anyone I know. He was directly responsible for responding to 200 emergent fleet issues over the last 6 years. All those late night and early morning and weekend phone calls when he said, "Hey, I've got a playbook call real quick." What he really meant was one of my sailors is having a problem out there and I need to help them. If the team doesn't get the help they need today while they're at sea, then those sailors are spending time away from their families for no reason because they can't do their job. Everyone, let that sink in. Michael's main job for the last 6 years was to take care of others. Knowing what you know about Mike and how well he takes care of his loved ones, it's It's not very surprising that the chief is taking better care of the sailors than anyone I've ever known in that job. I'm shaking, brother.
Can't
If
see it,
someone
but you're
approached me and asked me to use one word to describe the chief, that one word that immediately comes to mind is passionate. Passionate is described by Webster's as capable of, affected by, or expressing intense feeling. Enthusiastic. Can anyone argue the chief's passions? When listening to him talk, it is evident he's passionate about his family, the chief's quarters, his junior sailors, barbecue, or his beloved Bears. Let's face it, if you're a Facebook friend of the chief, you know when the Bears are playing and just how bad the game's going for him. Like many of us that serve in the Navy, Mike's career began as a struggling teenager looking for more out of life. Mike decided he needed a change of pace and decided that serving a couple years in the Navy would give him the opportunity to see what's out there. While he searched for the meaning of life, Paige, Gabe, if you guys want to sit down, you're more than welcome to. If you want to go hang out somewhere else, I just really wanted to try and explain to you what your dad does, to explain to you how important of a job it was. If you have access to today's retirement ceremony program, you will see the Chief's history assignments, which explains a lot about how he got where he is today. Part of my job is to explain to you, his family, what he did for the last 23 years. Some of my interpretations or reading between the lines may be a bit exaggerated, but for the most part are all truths. The chief attended boot camp at Recruit Training Command, Great Lakes, Illinois. For those that you don't know, boot camp is normally 8 weeks long. Chief Ozuna spent 3 months in boot camp. I had to guess the Navy needed a little extra time to mash the rebellious nature out of the new recruit. Regardless, from there, he reported to Orlando, Florida to attend Nuclear Field A School, and then he moved to Nuclear Power School in Charleston, South Carolina. Prior to today, how many of us knew that the chief was nuke waste? I don't think very many of us. After about a year and a half of nuke school, making third-class petty officer twice, Mike realized that nuclear power wasn't for him and that he got transferred out of power school. He was transferred to instruction at Naval Submarine School, Groton, Connecticut, which is normally 10 weeks long. 5 months later, he received the Most Improved Award and graduated from sub school. It was at this point the Fleet Ballistic Missile Program was forever changed when the chief transferred to Strategic Weapons Systems Electronic A School in Bangor, Washington. You see, the way that works in this school, one day the instructor walks into the classroom and writes on the whiteboard all the available training paths that are available currently to the class upon completion of the school you're currently in. Then a second list is created. This is where the class roster, this is a list of the class roster in order of GPA, grade point average. So the better the chance you have of getting follow-on orders, the better GPA you have. Well, considering ET3 Ozuna now has over 2 years in the Navy, he has things figured out and managed to rank high enough in the class to not only pick the longest follow-on school available and yet again delay reporting to the fleet. He follows up with a C school that sends him to learn about equipment that's pretty much obsolete in the fleet in the late 90s. Mike works his magic and gets orders to the USS Alaska, which doesn't have equipment that he just spent 3 years training on. Yep, you guessed it. That ship isn't deploying either. It's in the shipyard, going through E5 backfit conversion and engineering refueling overhaul. Because the submarine was in the shipyard not deploying, Mike's chief tried staying one step ahead of him and keeping Mike out of trouble. And because an idle sailor is a troubled sailor, sent him on temporary assignment to USS Georgia for a refit and patrol. Things went pretty well on Georgia until she returned to port from patrol. It was at this time the Alaska chief called the Georgia chief. You know where this is going, Mike. The Alaska chief called the Georgia chief and asked when they were going to release ET-3 Ozuna back to Alaska. After laughing, the response on the phone was, "We sent him off the ship 2 weeks ago on a tugboat prior to us coming home." To this date, those 2 weeks are still unaccounted for in Mike's service record. Chief Ozuna's quick wit enabled him to qualify in submarines and earn his dolphins in less than 4 years. It was on Alaska that Mike had the opportunity to conduct his first and only demonstration shakedown operation as a crew member. This was the Chief's training camp days. This was the Chief's training camp days, and where he quickly learned all about the landmarks located in Cocoa Beach, Florida. One sea story told to me from his shipmates, Zivin King and Eric Rogers, was about trying to go out for hash browns late at night while on a duty supply truck. They never did get those hash browns. They did, however, manage to use the supply truck to pick something else up. I'll let him tell the rest of the story if he so wishes to.
Not a chance.
I remember meeting Chief Ozuna for the first time around 2002 or 2003. I was at Submarine Squadron 17, stationed as the Navy T Chief. I was down on the boat providing assistance and preparations for an upcoming inspection. I believe he was a second class at the time. Our interaction went something like this. Me, Petty Officer Ozuna, are you qualified in small arms? Him, yep. Can you tell me what small arms you're qualified in? Yep. Petty Officer Ozuna, what small arms are you qualified? 9mm pistol, shotgun, and M16. Me, Petty PO2, do you know the effective range of the 9mm? Him. Yep. After a long pause of just staring at each other, I asked, PO2, what is the effective range of a 9mm pistol? Him. 50 yards, Chief. It was at this point, all I could really do was say a small prayer for his division and department chiefs, Fred Sprague and Bill Mast. He had done, Mike Ozuna had done what his job was for the day, and he got me frustrated and off the boat, so I left. Shortly after that, Petty Officer Second Class Ozuna has 7 years in the Navy, just under 4 of which are on a mostly kind of deployed submarine. He has seen Great Lakes, Orlando, Charleston, Groton, Bangor, transited the Panama Canal, and Cocoa Beach, Florida. He becomes available for shore duty and gets transferred to all places. The maintenance facility in San Diego. Seriously, San Diego. If that doesn't tell you this kid has things figured out by now, I don't know what would tell you. He still won't tell me how many trips he did to Tijuana during the 2-year period, but I do know he would later call this time in his life the preseason days. After wearing out his welcome in California, Mike was transferred to Kings Bay, Georgia as a first-class petty officer. He was finally able to attend a school for equipment that he would take to sea on a submarine. He would later become the subsystem expert on that equipment, leading to the position he's at today at Strategic System Programs. Upon completion of school, he reported to the USS of Maryland. In 2010, he was selected the Maryland Sailor of the Year. To give you a little background on how one of these selection processes normally go, all the chiefs in the command, put up their #1 guy considered for Sailor of the Quarter or Sailor of the Year. From there, the chiefs fight it out until one person is selected. Often it takes a lot of wheeling and dealing amongst the chiefs. It was well known in the case of Mike's selection, his chief, Rob Goebel, had to ended up running coffee for the chief's quarters for 2 years, give up his first-round draft picks for the next year's selection, and he had to give up his only working kidney. But in the end, it all worked out. It was about this time our paths crossed again. This time I was the chief at SP-24, the position Mike just left. We were at Swiss Week. He had just finished up this crew debrief for the last patrol when he asked me to come into the hallway. Bottom line, ET1 Ozuna was finished. He was getting out of the Navy. He didn't care how many years he had already served. He was fed up and needed a change. I don't know if our talk changed things or not, or what really ultimately changed his mind, although I have an idea. But ultimately, the Navy is a better off place because he did stay Navy. When I'm Maryland, the most significant event of his life occurred. He met Samantha. Not sure what or how she did it, but it was at this point Mike started to finally look at the Navy as a potential career. After being enlisted for 12 years, Mike likes to say that in November of 2011, he volunteered and was selected to the Naval Research Laboratory Site Detachment. However, I know for a fact, if you talk to the Kings Bay community at the time, it was more like ET1's Ozuna was voluntold to go there. So yet again, he makes another permanent duty station change back to California. Because of the nature of his job at the Research Laboratory Site Detachment, I don't have much of an idea what he did there. What I do know is if Cocoa Beach was training camp and Tijuana was preseason, his multiple trips to foreign countries were considered postseason leading up to the Super Bowl. Ultimately, all of Mike's hard work led to his selection as Chief Petty Officer in 2012. After I've been retired about 5 years, around April 2014, I get a phone call from an 805 area code number. Turns out it's ETC Ozuna. He's inquiring about the job at SP-24. Mike wanted to know about the job and whether I thought he would be a good candidate. Fortunately for the program, I was able to sell him on the job. And 6 years later, here we are. I can go on and on for many hours describing more highlights and stories of Mike's careers. Things like acquiring 600 feet of RG6 cable from a contractor, delivering it to the boat. When I hear you just kept telling him, no, we need more, we need more. He just kept shoving it down the Ford LET. Or we could talk about his many hours at the QM plot on Alaska, sleeping because video games were the priority after watch and not getting sleep. But we're going to move on to what's important. During a career, there are few jobs that can have a positive impact on an entire community of sailors. As previously mentioned, Mike's assignment at SSP was one of those. In a short time from now, Mike will be presented his end of tour award, and it's going to brush on his accomplishments while he was at SSP. I wanted to discuss them a little bit because his accomplishments during his 6 years at SSP are quite frankly astonishing. During his tenure, in addition to his normal day-to-day work, Mike was responsible for, involved with over 200 emergent fleet issues and developing a naval message in response to each of them. He coordinated or participated in more than 300 immediate need phone calls that we call playbooks. He led the development and deployment of more than 90 US and UK documentation changes to include emergent interim guidance and special test plans messages transmitted to support the fleet needs. Mike not only supported the technical branch during the past 6 years, he supported the operation and evaluations branch, SP-205, serving as the nav lead for one DASO, and he mentored 2 DASO nav leads during another. The chief stepped in and covered the program management office and the systems integration branch, SP-2012, by conducting numerous in-service, ready for sea inspections and inspector general evaluations. He even stood in for the fleet type commander and conducted a tactical readiness evaluation, which is pretty unheard of. All in all told, the chief is the only sailor I know that has been to sea on 15 of the 18 Ohio-class submarines. Dolores and Domingo, none of this would have been possible. Am I on?
Yeah.
All right. I just got a pop-up saying that I'm signed up, so I was scared for a second. Dolores and Domingo, none of this would have been possible without you laying the foundation for Mike to build upon. Thank you for letting us borrow him for the past 23 years. Samantha, being a submariner is a hard life. In my opinion, there's only one job harder than being a submariner. That title belongs to you, the submariner's wife. I personally want to thank you for taking on that role and allowing Mike to concentrate on taking care of the program and the many sailors serving on our submarines. Without your support, none of this I've mentioned would have been possible. Mike, I once heard a quote that I think describes everything I know about you. If you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion. Your passion will lead you right to your purpose. Those of us that have crossed paths with you or provided you guidance at the deck plates, or people that have been fortunate enough to have witnessed your leadership and wisdom, and most of all, those of us that have been lucky enough to become your friend are grateful for your passions. Thank you for your service, your dedication to our submarine brethren and the United States of America. Bear down and congratulations, brother.
Thank you. That's great, Dave. Thank you. You went mute.
Yeah, I said, oh yeah, brother.
He needed to be able to cry off camera. Give him a chance, Mike. So Dave, what you didn't touch on is something followed Mike through all those stages in his career and his life. And I think Mike knows what it is. It's the mustache. When he reported to the Alaska, that thing was scrawny and gangly and unruly, just like Mike. And now, so follow the mustache. Follow the mustache. Yeah, Mike's had a lot of different names, and you were calling him Chief through the entire speech, which was great. But I do remember, and one of my favorite names, you know, is Mike, Chief, Hey You, Z, Oz, the you know, the array of names that you get, nicknames that you get throughout while your time in the Navy. But my all-time favorite for Mike has to be Chief Other Chair. And Mike, I hope you can share that story, but that is by far my favorite nickname of you. So Chief Other Chair, great job. Congratulations, Dave. Thank you. I'm now going to actually turn it over to Commander Mueller and Command Master Chief Chad Beatty, who will now present Mike and his family some awards and appreciations. Thank you.
Jesse, you can tell that story.
If you really want me to.
All right. Hey, Mike, is Commander Mueller there with you?
Yeah, he's right here.
I'm off camera, but All right, so I think we're going to start with your end of tour award. Normally we would say attention to award, but I can't go do attention while I'm sitting on my computer reading this.
I stand up. I'm out of camera.
Yeah. From the President of the United States, takes pleasure in presenting the Meritorious Service Medal to Chief Electronics Technician, Navigation, Submarines, Michael S. Ozuna, United States Navy, for service as set forth in the following. For outstanding meritorious achievement while serving as the second level fleet support manager at Strategic Systems Programs from July 2014 to June 2020, Chief Ozuna consistently performed his demanding duties in a highly and professional manner. He spearheaded the resolution of over 380 fleet issues by leading military contractors and government engineers. He was crucial in the successful fleet training, system testing, and installation of SSP shipboard integration increment 4 throughout the fleet. He supported demonstration and shakedown operations 26 through 30, including 10 special tests and over 100 hours of navigation sonar system testing, resulting in improved operational changes. He was the electronics technician lead for demonstration and shakedown operations 28, assisting in 7 mini demonstration and shakedown operations, 12 board of inspection and surveys, coordinated 30 strategic weapons system weeks with over 7,000 man hours of training, 5 inspector general evaluations, 2 technical evaluation visits, 1 special weapons test, and 1 tactical readiness evaluation. His implementation of Chief Petty Officer 365, Sailor 360, and laying the keel has directly impacted over 150 newly selected chiefs throughout the region. Chief Ozuna's superior performance of duties highlights the culmination of 23 years of honorable and dedicated service. Chief Ozuna's exceptional professionalism, personal initiative, and loyal devotion to duty reflected great credit upon himself and were in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. For the President, J.R. Wolf, Vice Admiral, United States Navy. Great job, Mike. Hoo-yah.
Thank you.
Commander Mueller, are you still there? We ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Roger that. So Samantha.
Yes.
We have a couple things for you. To all those who see these presents, greetings.
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 Know ye that in special recognition of the personal character and abilities of Mrs. Samantha Ozuna, who as a devoted wife of a submariner in good standing, has repeatedly demonstrated her patriotism, loyalty, fortitude, and a continuing love and esteem for submariners, and has frequently contributed to the morale of the submarine force by her cheerful willingness to render assistance to the families of other submariners when in need. I do hereby appoint her by and with the consent of officers and men of the aforesaid force, a submarine lady of the submarine force. Know ye throughout the United States Navy that as a special mark of our gratitude, she is entitled to wear the submarine insignia. Further, she is entitled to all privileges of a submarine lady, and I do strictly charge and require all members of the submarine force to render her every courtesy and their highest esteem, and I do encourage them to assist her in any manner within their capabilities whenever the opportunity arises, by the normal tenets of chivalry or by actual necessity. For though at sea her spouse may roam, she valiantly serves her ship at home. Done on this 22nd day of May in the year of our Lord 2020, Vice Admiral Wolf, Director, Strategic Systems Programs. And Samantha, we're not done yet.
Oh.
Certificate of Appreciation for the United States Navy. To all who shall see these presents, greetings.
Greetings.
To Samantha Ozuna, by the authority vested in me, it is my pleasure to express the grateful appreciation of the United States Navy to you for enduring the frequent hardships and supporting your husband, Michael, as he served his country. Michael's time away was instrumental in ensuring you and your family inherited a stronger nation and a safer world. These months, indeed years, that Michael spent away from you and your family, you provided him with unwavering support and unconditional love. Your selfless dedication made certain of a stable home during a time of conflict and instability. The United States Navy thanks you for your many sacrifices and noble support to Michael and our nation. Given this 22nd day of May in the year of our Lord, 2020, Vice Admiral Wolf, Director, Strategic Systems Programs. We also have letters of appreciation for Gabriel, Paige, Domingo, and Elias, parents, Domingo and Dolores Ozuna, and Jackie Murphy, and your brother and sister, I believe, Nathan and Macy.
Sister-in-law.
Okay, thanks. You also have certificates from President Trump, President Bush, President Clinton, the governor of Texas, And I got a couple other things here I'd like to read for the group.
Okay.
Letter of appreciation from the Chicago Bears. Michael Ozuna. Dear Michael, during the long history as a team and organization, the Chicago Bears have thrived year after year due to the enduring support and loyalty of our fans. Your service in the United States Navy is celebrated and valued by the organization. The passion you show as a Chicago Bears fan is what makes our coaches and players work harder to maintain a winning spirit. Thank you for your dedication and years of service. On behalf of the McCaskey family, the coaches, players, and staff of the Chicago Bears, we thank you for your support and hope to bring you another winning Bears season. Go Bears.
That's the only time I'll ever say that.
At the Bears.
Thanks.
Nice.
You can cry. It's okay.
That's very cool.
Hey, Commander Mueller, do you want to do the Fleet Reserve certificate next?
Let's do that last, please.
Roger that, sir.
So, see the story, but many times this show for everyone here. For this SSP plaque, for all your years and dedicated service, thank you. And, it comes with a whenever you need us, you can call us. Likewise, if we ever need you, we may wind up calling you too. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
One other gift, please. We also got together and got you a party gift. That's just here, but the inscription reads, "Bear down and anchor up." Chief Michael Ozuna, 30 October 1997 to 20 July 2020.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
It's so weird not to hear any applause, but see everyone.
I'm Master Chief, ready for the Fleet Reserve.
Roger that, sir. All right, Mike, here it is. It's official now. Fleet Reserve of the United States Navy. This is to certify that Michael Ozuna, Chief Electronics Technician, Navigation, was transferred from active duty to the Fleet Reserve of the United States Navy on the 30th day of June, 2020, after 23 years of service. This certificate is awarded as a testimonial of faithful and honorable service. Signed by Vice Admiral J.R. Wolf.
Awesome.
All right, Bill. We'll turn it back over to you. Hey, congratulations, Mike. Kuya.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chad. Thanks, Commander. Great job, and congratulations to Mike and your family. You know, they bear a lot of the brunt of your time away and what you did for our country, as Dave illuminated in his speech. But that will also be expressed here in a little bit, hopefully in your words. Just trying to help you out, make sure you're prepared to make sure, don't forget to thank your family, dude. Anyways, so we will now press on and present Old Glory. So there might be a little bit of a wait while we get the technical ability to do this. Sean and Melissa, it's kind of up to you. You let me know when we're ready to go, and hopefully my feed will go to that. Over.
I never hear it the other time.
Awkward silence.
Whoa.
Oh. Oh, can you start it back to the beginning? I'm sorry. It seems to be skipping a little bit. I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutions of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am arrogant. I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is held a little higher. My colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshiped. I am saluted. I am respected. I am revered. I am loved. I am feared. For more than 200 years, I have fought in every battle of every war. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Aragon Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, the jungles of Guam, Okinawa, Tarawa, Korea, Vietnam, and in the heat of the Persian Gulf, and a score of other places long forgotten by all. But those who were with me there, I was there. I led my sailors and Marines. I followed them. I watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-torn, and tired. But my sailors and Marines cheered me. I was proud. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of the countries that I have helped set free. It does not hurt, for I am invincible. I have been soiled, burned, and torn, and trampled on the streets of my own country. And when it is done by those with whom I have served in battle, it hurts, but I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the bonds, the surly bonds of the earth, and from my vantage point on the moon, I stand watch over the new frontiers of space. I have been silent witness to all of America's finest hours. But my finest hours come when I am torn into strips to be used for bandages for my wounded comrades on the battlefield. When I fly half-mast to honor my sailors and Marines, and when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving mother or wife at the graveside of her fallen son or daughter, I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wave, dear God, long may I wave. So Mike always had me selected as the Old Glory guy because he knows that I cannot get through it without crying, and it's not fair. I told him that one of these days I would get through it without crying, but today definitely was not going to be the day. So for everybody's knowledge, the original plan was for Mike to present this flag to his father, Domingo, but that will have to be a moment shared between father and son. Oh, I got Wyatt. Yes, I love being able to see people. Anyways, that's all right. Wyatt's going to come later here. Anyways, so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce the man of the hour, Chief Ozuna, and then we'll follow it by a few other things for the departure in accordance with our customs and traditions. So, Mike, the floor is yours. You know, you had what, 5-10 minutes to get ready, so you better be good.
Oh, wow. So I'm just adjusting my camera right now. Babe, it's probably the biggest secret you've ever kept from me. Thank you. I just want to start with that. I didn't know what I was going to do. I know that I've talked to a bunch of people, the last two being Bill and Wyatt, when they wanted to throw in the towel on having their ceremony. And I refused to let them, telling them that it wasn't about them. It was about everybody else and getting the opportunity to say thank you. So when it came down to not being able to have mine, I didn't know how to take it. So this has been it's been really hard for me. So thank you guys for doing this. But like Bill said, I had about 5 minutes to prepare, so speech is gonna be a little off, a little over the place. So just bear with me for a little bit. Definitely, like Dave said, and like most people in this group have said that have retired, wasn't a career choice from the get-go. I didn't want to waste my parents' money going to college in something that I knew I wasn't going to finish. But I didn't want to stay at home either and be that guy. So the Navy found me. They pitched their game, and I jumped all over it. I actually did it when I was 17, but we waited till I was 18 to sign the paperwork. And I remember it was a Chief Labrador was his name that recruited me. And he asked me if I told my parents, and I said no. And before I do, I'm going to need you to come to the house and be there with me when I do it, because it's not going to be pretty. And I knew that because my dad had always told us his stories of the Army. For those of you who don't know, that he was drafted the moment he dropped out of college. Didn't take long for the draft to happen, or not the draft, but for them to pick him up when that happened. And he went and he served his country, and he spent time in Germany as a tanker for the Army. And he always told me stories about that growing up. Heard stories about how awesome the Army food was, how incredible it was being a tank in Germany in the middle of winter. I don't know why I didn't go Army. But Dad, like Bill said, I wanted to show you or give you an idea of how strong and what it really meant to be a chief was. So about 7 months ago, I started reaching out to people. And the way our network system works is you just really need to reach out to one and they link you to somebody else, and from then on and so forth. I had a flag flown for you in Germany where you were stationed, and that was the flag that was going to be done Old Glory with, and that was the flag that we're going to hand you. I have the certificate for you that shows the date and time it was flown over the base, which isn't a base anymore. It's just a little stand now, but some of the chiefs that were out there took the time and got the permissions and went out there and flew it for you, because it wasn't the greatest time for you, but growing up, all those stories, they meant a lot to me, and I wanted you to know how special it was. So I'm not going to mail it to you. We're going to have to see that in person. Being in the Navy wasn't the easiest, as Dave alluded to. I had a lot of ups and downs, mostly downs in the beginning, trying to do things my way still. And I remember my mom telling me before I left, you don't listen to us. What makes you think you're going to listen to any other adult? And that held true for quite a while. I always thought my way was better, which is why I spent 3 months in boot camp. I thought my way was better, which is why I made 3rd class twice. And it's also why there's a 2-week gap in my service record, as Dave pointed out. But you know, one of the things that I am grateful for, and I don't see them on here. One of the coolest things about being on the Alaska was when we were ready to separate and go our blue crew, gold crew split. I was originally supposed to go to the gold crew, and that's the crew that I was with the entire time during the shipyard period. And they didn't want me. I was a troublemaker. I didn't do much in the lines of help. They had me on the paint team for almost 2 years, and they were ready to be just done with me. But I got a chief and I got a 1st class. The 1st class I met on the Georgia, and that was Zivin King. And the chief was Fred Sprague. And they both called me into their office, and they sat me down and they said, look, we know everything about you. We know your history. It's all on here in this record. But we don't believe that's who you are. So you can either come with us and be the sailor that we know you're going to be, or you can continue going about your ways and you'll be out of the Navy shortly. So they took me, I went to the blue crew, and they gave me a clean slate, and they gave me a chance to just be me. That wasn't the easiest thing to do for them. I know they had to take chances on that. But that chance started a lot for me. It allowed me to be free to think of what I wanted to think of, learn the stuff that I needed to learn, and then figure out a way to make it work better. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for those two. One leading me and the other one waking me up at every ungodly hour when something icy was broke to go fix it. And then turn around and tell the command that he didn't do anything, I fixed it all. And I couldn't figure that out either, of why a 1st class would say that, you know, this 3rd and eventually 2nd was fixing everything until he left. And the moment he left, everybody turned to me wondering when I was going to fix this thing that broke. And then I got it. And there was one thing that he said with me that I've carried my entire career, Zivin, if you're on Facebook, I can't tell, but he told me that if you learn the job like the back of your hand, nobody can ever touch you. And I took that to heart, and I learned everything there was to know about IC and everything there was to know about Nav Center. And I figured that was enough, and I didn't learn that much about quartermaster. So between those two, I thought I was safe, and for a while I was. Great division on the Alaska. Matt Easler, Scott Greer, Brad Nesbitt, Travis Durkees. I know there's a bunch of others that I can't think of right now because I didn't have time to prepare. But it was a great crew, and we definitely had a great many experiences. Not only did we do Order the Ditch, but we got a swim call at the equator. And what, you know, there's not many SSBNs that I know of that have swim calls at the equator and get to watch a radio chief jump in naked screaming he's staying Navy. Yeah, that one raising his hands right there. So I've had a lot of unique experiences that probably some people never will get to experience, and for that I'm very grateful. I remember Captain Belt, man, that man loved to have swim calls, and we would do a swim call off the coast of Hawaii every chance we got, and that swim call would turn into staying up the rest of the night until sunset. every single time. It would be supposed to be 2 or 3 hours, and we'd mic it the entire day. And that was the only time I can remember seeing about 60 or 70 men aboard on top of a submarine, just staring at a sunset and admiring it, not saying a word, and just enjoying the moment. I think I was like 22 or 23 when that first happened, and very profound moment for me in my career to see something like that and be a part of that. And I say that because that entire time I was in Bangor, I never wanted to be there. I wanted to go to Kings Bay because Kings Bay was closer to home, and because the boats out there were going to Puerto Rico. So that's where I wanted to go. By the time I got there, they quit doing that. So I missed out on that one, Dave. I didn't get to hit the Puerto Rico port. So I didn't quite nail it all. But the Maryland was another great tour. I took that boat because I was told there was an LPO already there. He would be there for about a year, and I'd have time to settle in. I was coming off of shore duty where I wasn't doing anything Navy-T related. I actually went to the scope shop, and from the scope shop, I went to work security for 2.5 years. So I didn't want to jump right into being the LPO of a whole system that I wasn't too familiar with other than the school that I got. So I get there, and the LPO makes chief and gets sent away, so I instantly become the LPO. Very interesting tour. Rob Goebel, very interesting chief. He had a different way of doing things than Fred did. He pushed me to requalify everything in a matter of a month, while we had another first class that he didn't push to qualify anything. And I couldn't figure it out. It pissed me off. Rob did things a lot differently than I'd ever seen before, or maybe that was just because I was older and paying more attention to the way that things were being run and wanted to run it myself. And I didn't understand it all until after I left. And I don't know if Rob's on here either, but Rob, you taught me a lot of lessons without actually sitting me down to teach me. Watching you work and watching you do what you do really prepared me how to be a chief well before I made it. And for that, I thank you. You know, my tour on the Maryland, right off the bat when I got there, there was, I was told there's 3 guys that you're not gonna, don't even bother with. They're working themselves out of the Navy. Don't waste your time. You need to focus on the rest of your division and figure out how you're going to man this boat up. I only got to talk to 2 of them. And that was, oh, no, my mind's going. Joe DePalm and Langland was a troublemaker, but he wasn't on his way out. It was Joe and Sarah. Man, either way, I talked to them and I told them the exact same things that Fred and Zimbin told me, that I knew their history. I knew what everybody said about them, and I didn't care. If they work for me and they give me their everything, I'll do the same in return, and I'll make sure that they don't get messed with. Those 2 wound up staying and finished their time in the Navy and got out, and they're very successful people right now outside. And I could care less if they stayed in or got out. They're great people, and they're not the people that I was told that they were. And I'm not sure I would have been that way had I not gone through my experiences and gotten my second chance that I got. But because of that, I've always never tried to give up on anybody. When I go out to sea for inspections or DASOs, I'm interested in some of the sailors that there are, but I'm really interested in the ones that are struggling, because I don't think that they're struggling because they don't want to be there. They just need guidance, and they need help, and they need somebody to listen. That's all I ever needed, and that's all I ever wanted. Those are the memories that I'm going to take with me. Now, when I went to special projects, like Dave said, there's not much he can talk about. There's not much I can talk about either. Samantha likes to think that I was out looking for mermaids. So we'll just leave it at that. but I got lucky. And like I said, I got in contact with Dave because I wanted to know how to sit on the side of the room during Swiss Week instead of being a participant in it. And he told me, you know, the guy's getting ready to retire. Let me put in a word for you. And I remember D came out of left field and hit me up and said, hey, I know you're going to, I hear you're looking at 24. Why don't you come relieve me instead at TICOM? And D, I'll tell you, I don't know if Dave told you, but I'm gonna throw him under the bus. Since he threw me under the bus, he said, don't do it. Don't do it. You need to come to DC. D wants your job, so don't do it. So that's why I didn't go. It's Dave's fault. Definitely didn't see myself spending 6 years at SP. Thought I would get to 20 and retire. But it's been one amazing ride. And then to find out that, you know, a year after I got there, Bill Mass was going to come and be the CMC, which is, you know, at the time he was the radio chief. When I first met him, he was the radio chief on the Alaska. You know, having a friendly face, a familiar face from way back. I can't tell you what that meant to me. And then to have him come and just tell me, you know, just in the past, just, hey, do what you do, and I got your back. And that really opened the door for me to just take on everything that I could jump into. I got my hands involved with just about every program that there was. And I started being way more active with the Chiefs Mess, both in SSP and in the Naval District, Washington. And that's where I met Jesse. Jesse and I were selected to run a chief season. And for those of you that don't understand what that is, every year when we make new chiefs, they spend 6 weeks in training. And basically you have 2 chiefs or senior chiefs coordinate that entire 6 weeks of what they're gonna do every day from the time that they wake up to the time that they go to bed. And then at the end of that, all of that is culminated into what we call a final night. And it's about 18 hours of PT, training, exercises, drills, the whole gambit. And Jesse and I were selected to run that on top of our normal day-to-day jobs, which isn't an easy task. The funny thing about how the Navy works is it works in ways you couldn't imagine. And it just has a way of making things just fit. Jesse and I both made it at separate times, but we were both in Port Hueneme. And Jesse being a CB obviously learned how CBs do it. And me being out in Port Hueneme, I got indoctrinated into the Chiefs Mess through CBs. So when we got together for the first time, it's always that, oh, how are we gonna mesh? How are we gonna get together? Is this gonna work? You know, what are we gonna argue about? These are the ideas I have. How am I gonna have to sell them? We didn't have to sell anything to each other. We just meshed like nobody's business. Everything that we talked about, you know, if I didn't think of it, she thought of it, or vice versa. And I couldn't have asked for a better teammate, a better friend. Our friendship has carried on ever since that day, and I'm blessed for that. So thank you, Jesse. I really do appreciate that. I learned a lot from her. Her leadership, her mentorship, her ability to just sit in a room and not say a word and have people have these chief selects gravitate towards her, wanting to know more, needing to learn, wanting guidance. It spoke volumes to me. And it was definitely something that I took away from that. And it is also the reason that I'm called Chief Other Chair, because everybody gravitated to Jesse in the beginning that they didn't know who I was. So when we were at a training session and somebody asked one of the selects, who are the 2 chairs? They said, Chief Garcia Montez and Chief Other Chair. So that's how I got that name. But like I said, it was a great experience. It was tough. We both had our moments when we weren't sure if we were doing the right thing. And just in true fashion of being a chief, we were both there to pick each other up when we were at our low points during that 6-week period. And at the end of it all, it was one of the most rewarding, relieving thank God it's over moments in my life. Just to have everybody safe, nobody injured, everybody, no complaints, and everybody make it through is a true blessing. And it's not an easy task. And Jesse's persistence of how hard we worked led me to getting my first column. So again, thank you for that, Jess. I appreciate it. The Chiefs mess of NDW. It's been a great ride with you guys. We live in a world or in an area that's just hard. Being in three different, you're either in DC, you're in Virginia, and you're in Maryland. It sucks. There isn't the closeness of being in Bangor or Kings Bay to do the cookouts or the weekend hangouts. One of us lives 15 minutes from work, and the other one, another one is an hour and a half away. Getting together hasn't always been easy, but we've never given up. We always keep trying. We always keep trying to find new ways to do things. You guys have been awesome. You guys have been an awesome support system when me and my family had our own problems, and I needed to work from home. The Chiefs mess stepped up, brought us meals, took turns taking days to bring us meals every day. Reaching out, Chiefs mess helped us move from one house to another. I can't thank you guys enough for the support you've given me over the time that I've been there. And it just, like I said, I'll never speak highly enough of the Chiefs, just because of who we are and the things that we do for each other and everybody else. And for that, I thank you guys. And before I wrap it up and talk about my family, there's one other Chiefs mess I want to talk about, and that's the one that I made it at when I was at Special Projects. There's a group of us there called the Fab Five. We were great friends. We still talk today. Ernest, DJ, Frankie, great friends. I can't remember your names. Gil, and then me. All right. They helped me out through the season. My sponsor, Dave, and my co-sponsor, DJ, you guys were awesome. I learned a lot from you guys. But the guy that ran the season, Tim, who isn't here with us anymore. I learned a lot from that man. I never met somebody that I hated more in the beginning, just to love like a brother when it was over. He taught me through a tough time in my life. In the middle of a move, things weren't going well at all. And I just happened to be in his town. And I met him for lunch. And he just sat there and listened to everything that I had to say. When he didn't have to. He was already retired, trying to live his life and be happy. He took a lot of time out just to hear me, and then reached out to some friends that were still in to help us out and get some things that we needed to get. And that was the last time I was able to see him. He was sick with a lung disease, and he didn't make it through his lung transplant. And a lot of what I do as a chief is because of how passionate he was. His passion and his love for being a chief and just doing things that a chief is supposed to do, even if it meant getting an ass chewing, even if it meant it wasn't going to be the popular decision. That was one of the most passionate chiefs I've ever met in my life. And I tried to emulate him in everything that I've done. So rest in peace, Tim. I hope I did you proud. Sorry. Now, to my family. Mom, Dad, I know you guys didn't want me to come in. My dad used to say that he did his time so that we didn't have to. It's hard to follow in a man's footsteps when he wears shoes that are humongous. And that's what my dad does. My dad has some really big shoes to fill, but he's never asked me or my brother to fill them. He always wanted us to do what was in our hearts and do what we felt best. He may not have agreed with my decision to come in the Navy, but he supported me 100% through the way. He never turned his back on me. Even in high school, when I was getting kicked out of school, Dad, you were the first one right there fighting for me to make sure that they at least heard my side. Mom, couldn't have asked for a better mother. Again, you didn't want me to come in either. But your love and support for me throughout this entire time has been unreal. Your constant calling and wondering where I'm at and how am I doing, even though I didn't always call you back, and I'm sorry for that. But I'm blessed to have a mother like you to support me as much as you did. I'm glad I was able to get you guys on a couple of tours of submarines. It's harder to do these days. But you visited me at every station that I've been to. And that's something that isn't very well done either. So thank you guys for your support. I really do appreciate it. It's not easy letting the youngest one go and then not only leave, but then leave for 23 years. You know, I've missed a lot of things, birthdays, anniversaries, Christmases, and no matter what, you guys have still stayed supporting me and cheering me on every step of the way. So thank you. Nathan, I don't know if you're still there.
Yeah, I'm here.
I would say thank you, but there's not much you did for me.
No. No.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You know, growing up, just the two of us, it was probably just a lot like everybody else that had a bigger brother. You know, in the house, you hated me, but you were the only one that was allowed to hate me. Nobody else outside of the house was allowed to. And anytime that happened, you were right there pushing me out of the way so you could get at them to make sure that they left me alone. You were the true definition of what a big brother was. Even if that meant buying me booze when I was underage. Sorry, Ma. You know, we've had I think really when I turned 18 and decided to join, our relationship got a lot better as far as us talking and hanging out and doing things. By the time it was time for me to leave, I didn't want to go just because I wanted to hang out with you. We had done so much hanging out in that summer before I left that, man, part of me was wondering, where was this all my life? And I didn't want to go, man. I really enjoyed that time. You had just bought your 15.5 acres and you had the double wide out there, your plans to build a house out there. And man, I loved hanging out there and I missed that time. But even since I've been in, man, for those of you guys that don't know, me and my brother still spend at least one night a week, if not 3 or 4, playing Call of Duty till about 3 o'clock in the morning, and getting mad because the other teams are always cheating. But it's great, man. We're both in our 40s and we're still playing video games, and I love it. I love every minute of it. So thank you for the support. Macy, you came in a little late in the picture. I was already gone. But you've shown nothing but support for me the entire time that I've been in. You came into this family and you loved me as if you knew me my whole life. And for that, I thank you. My grandparents aren't with us anymore. I remember my grandfather, my dad's dad, right before I came in, we went to go visit them. And he cried as we said goodbye. And my dad told me that he never sees my grandpa cry. And when they asked him, he said my grandpa said it was because it was the last time he was going to see me. Of course, I was 18 at the time. I didn't believe him. You know, it was like, I'm just going to boot camp. I'm coming right back. I came back after boot camp, but I didn't have time to go see him where they lived. And he wound up passing away while I was in A school in Orlando. That was a very hard time. It was just because of what he had said. And, you know, he somehow knew, but my grandparents showed me a tremendous amount of support. I'm very blessed to have a huge family that carried me through the way. A lot of times that I wanted to quit, I didn't quit because I was embarrassed to come home and say I quit. And that was, there's no way I could look my dad in the eye and say, the Navy threw me out because I quit. And that wasn't going to happen. That wasn't an option for me. Just because that's not the way my dad was, and that's not how he raised us. So I was very fortunate to have a strong family like that. And now to somebody, you may need this. Babe, like Dave said, you know, when I called him out on Swiss Week, I told him I was done. And I'd been on board the Maryland for 3 years, and I was LPO for all 3 years. Everybody that we tried to get to take over as LPO wound up making chief. So I couldn't get rid of it. I was tired. It was hard, and I was ready to do something different. And the more I started telling people that, you know, Dave had multiple conversations with me. Chiefs on board the Maryland had conversations with me. And it was actual conversation, not like a, you know, step into the Chiefs quarters conversation. I've had a few of those, and those were not fun. But really what changed everything was meeting you. I met you, you took a chance on me. I don't know why. I mean, look at this, look at her. But when I told you that I was gonna go ahead and just finish my time and get out, you didn't beat around the bush, you didn't hide anything. You said WTF is your problem. What are you thinking? Brutally honest. And I took it to heart. And you also had Gabriel and Paige. And I knew that if I wanted to be a part of your life, then I had to be a part of their life. And I had no idea how I was going to take care of all 3 of you if I got out without a plan. So my plan then changed to stay in. So none of this would have happened if I hadn't met Samantha. Since I've been in, you've been nothing but a cheerleader for me, advocating to work hard, work harder. And in the times that I wasn't selected for things, you were the first person to stand up and say, WTF is the Navy's problem. There's a lot of things that I asked you to do that you took on without a blink of an eye. I asked you to move to California with me, all the way across the country. We weren't even married. And she said she didn't want to go to California because everybody walks around naked and smokes weed. But you made the move with me. We had Ariana. And then I started going out on special projects deployments, which are brutally long. Yeah. I missed Ari's first year. And you took it in stride. You raised our kids to be some of the most amazing, proper kids that I've ever seen. And when we got here and I thought things would be a little less stressful, even though Dave warned me, the amount of travel that we do, the amount of things that I opened myself up to by taking on separate programs, even though you didn't like it, you never told me no. And when I asked you if it was okay if I volunteered to run the Chiefs season and explain to you what that meant, you were pregnant with the twins. And you didn't hesitate to say, do what you need to do. Those were a rough 6 weeks for you. People coming over to the house, phone calls, all kinds of, in all times of the day and night. And you took it all in stride just for me to turn right back around and start traveling again. Because the deals that I made to stay home for 6 weeks meant that I needed to go out for way, way more. You've been the backbone of this family, not me. You've been the supporting mother and father for all 5 of our kids when I've been gone. You've had to deal with some things that I wouldn't wish on anybody else's family. And you've took it all on the shoulders and you've kept walking forward. I could never have done this without you. Thank you. And my kids, you guys are growing up to be something special. Gabriel, you're tough. The most amazing thing about you is that you wake up every day like it's a new day, no matter what happened the day before. And I envy that. That is something that I wish I could be like you more and more every day. Every day for you is a brand new, bright, shining day. And that is so awesome to me. You've got a lot of great things coming ahead of you, and I look forward to seeing every single one of them. Love you.
It's okay.
You're fine. It's okay, Paige. Paige, you've had me wrapped around your finger since the day that I met you. So much so that Mom used to have to punish you because I couldn't.
Yeah.
You're turning into an amazing young lady, and now you're just gonna have to you're just gonna have to deal with it because Dad's not traveling anymore. He's gonna stick around for all of it to see you happen. All right, so I hope you're ready.
Okay.
Ari, you're a special little girl. You're so smart. You've got a whole life ahead of you, and I can't wait to see it. And the twins aren't here. They're upstairs watching a movie because that's more important to them right now. And that's fine. But for those of you that don't know, after we had Ari, Samantha wanted to try for one. She wanted us to have a boy. And we kept putting it off because we were in Port Hueneme. So I said, let's wait till we get to back to DC and settle out. And then we had complications and it just couldn't happen. To the point where I was thinking, it's not going to happen. Let's just stop and stop putting all this stress on us. And she wanted to keep trying. And then she shows up downstairs from the headquarters office one day and calls me and says, I'm downstairs, come down. I go down there and she's holding up 2 onesies. I never wanted to buy a minivan. But those little boys have been an amazing blessing. They're 4 now. And they are probably destroying, sounds like, upstairs, which is what they're supposed to be doing, I guess. But they're amazing. And the amount of leeway that the command has given me to deal with 5 kids, a wife, 2 dogs, and a tremendous workload has been nothing but simply amazing. I don't think that I could have gotten this kind of support anywhere. It's all right. Come on. It's all right, boys. Commander Mueller, thank you. Your level of support from the time that you stepped in. Hey, boys. Your level of support has been nothing but amazing. You know, 24 has never been in the greatest position, but we've always walked forward, and I've always taken pride in you and everybody else before you not needing to worry about fleet support. But that also comes with the ability of you just letting us be us and letting us do our jobs the way we see fit and just keeping you informed. And when I needed it the most to say, hey, I need to step away, I didn't even need to say it. You were jumping right up saying, I don't want to see you in the office. Stay away. We'll call you if we need you. And again, something that I don't think I would have ever gotten anywhere else And it's another reason that I say for me, things just worked out great in the Navy, just placement and needing to be where I needed to be in the right times. It's been pretty amazing. And I'll tell you guys a quick story about Commander Mueller. Shortly after he took the office, he came up to me and he says, "Hey, I heard you dabble in woodwork." And I said, "Yeah, I do a little bit." And he said, "I need you to make me a plaque." So he says he needs to, this plaque is getting full, and this is the Chiefs plaque that shows all the Chiefs that have ever been in the program. He's like, because it's getting full, so we need a new plaque to put the names on. So I'm looking at it, and you see the last one on there is Dallas Goble. I know it's backwards, but it's 2012, 2014. I made the plaque. I made him his plaque, just like it. And he said, "All right, now we need to populate all the names after Dallas Goble until we get to yours." And I said, "Sir, I relieved Dallas Goble in 2014. So he looked a little perplexed as why I was still here, just as most people do. But yeah, that's my funny story about Commander Mueller. And in case you don't know, the only reason that I did 6 years is because Bill Mast looked at my orders and they said that I was reporting to a type 2C duty. And when we couldn't find a relief, he talked to the detailers, and I don't know who else he talked to, honestly, Bill, but he basically said, he's here on type 2C duty orders, so he needs a shore duty. So he's going to stay here and do another tour. And I don't know how really hard that was for you to sell, but everybody else seems to think that that's not doable. But you did it. You allowed my family to have some stability when we needed it. You know, there's a lot that our family needs. Tremendously grew here. And I'm not sure how that would have worked out if we had to transfer to Kings Bay or Bangor, but we were ready to do it. And it's not that you wouldn't allow it, but you gave me an option. And you've always supported my family, so much so that I'm retired and you got me my first job. So thanks, Bill. Your support throughout my entire career has been nothing but amazing and a blessing. You and your family are truly a gift for us, and we thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Nobody makes me cry my own tears.
And with that, I'm done. If I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. My entire family, all the Ozunas, all the Rodriguez's, your guys' support has been nothing short of amazing. It's hard to explain to other people how big our family is, but to have all of us as close as we are, and as close as you've always been throughout my entire career, and understanding that I'm not going to be there for family reunions and things like that, but when I am home, you're instantly reaching out to me and trying to meet up, set things up. I'm not sure I would have done that without all that support. You know, Dave tried to paint me as this, you know, amazing, compassionate person, but all that needs fuel. It doesn't go on its own, and without the fuel of my family, I'm not sure how long that passion would have lasted. So thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. And with that, I'm done.
Pausing for applause effect. Hey, before we continue on with the agenda, I wanted to set a couple things straight. One, Mike, know that in Tim's eyes, He was proud of you before that. Yep. And the other thing is, don't anybody be fooled. And Mike is trying to be tough. He loves his minivan.
I do. It's got a DVD player and everything.
He's proud of it. He loves it. He's big pimping in it. Don't let anybody. Don't let him fool you. Any of you. All right. So the next thing up, Chief Ozuna and Chief Bobbitt will now conduct watch turnover. Chief Bobbitt.
Don't choke up here. So before I conduct the watch turnover, I want to let everybody know. So just so you understand a little background on the watch turnover. So the watch turnover is a formal. It's a formal position we stand, and we're entrusted with to answer anytime American calls. We stand that watch until we get properly relieved, and that we are confident in the person that is relieving us will uphold the Navy standards. Without further ado, I'll read the watch. For over 20 years, this sailor has stood the watch. Some of us was in our bunks at night. This sailor stood the watch. While some of us were in school learning our trade, this shipmate stood the watch. Yes, even before some of us was born into this world, this shipmate stood the watch. In those years, when the storm clouds of war were seen brewing on the horizon of history, this shipmate stood the watch. Many times he would cast an eye ashore and see his family standing there, needing his guidance and help, needing that hand to hold during those hard times, but he still stood the watch. He stood the watch for 23 years. He stood the watch so that we, our families, and fellow countrymen could sleep soundly and safely in each and every night, knowing that a sailor stood the watch. Today, we're here to say, shipmate, the watch stand relieved by those you have trained, guided, and led. Shipmate, you stand relieved. We have the watch. Chief Petty Officer Michael Ozuna, I'm ready to relieve you.
I'm ready to be relieved.
I relieve you.
I stand relieved.
Yeah, congratulations, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Master Chief Retired Wyatt Harris. Hopefully he can see through the hair in his eyes. Will now read the CPO Creed.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. D's my backup, so if I get too choked up. Mike, you have on this day experienced that which comes to all of us who have served on active duty. I say our Navy because your departure from active duty is in no way terminate your relationship. By law and tradition, the U.S. Navy retirees are always on the rolls, ever ready to lend their service when the need arises. The respect that you earned as the chief was based on the same attributes that you now carry into retirement. You should have no regrets. Do not review your retirement as an end of an era, but rather as orders to a new and challenging assignment, to a form of independent duty. Remember well that you have been and will always be an accepted member of the most exclusive fraternity, that of the United States Chief Petty Officers. The active duty chiefs salute you. Your retired chiefs welcome you. And we all wish you the traditional fair winds and following seas.
Thank you, Wyatt.
All right, going on mute.
Well done, Wyatt. And we all lost the over or under on line 1. So thanks, Wyatt, for destroying the Vegas odds on the bets. So Mike, we were all taking bets on when Wyatt was gonna crack, and we didn't realize it was by word 2. So I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you, Wyatt. As all good things come to an end, we're winding down here. The retirement ceremony we've been participating in has lasted for more than 200 years. Well, it feels like that in some cases, but the tradition, that is. So has the ceremony known as piping the side. The bosun's call was used in the days of sail to command line handling and seamanship orders that could be heard over the sound of the wind in the ship's rigging. Today, we use it to call attention to routine duties, announcements from the commanding officer, and for ceremonies. The purpose of the side boys was to heave around on the lines to raise and lower the jolly boat carrying distinguished visitors to the ship's quarterdeck. The number of side boys depended on the rank of the distinguished visitor. Historically, the higher ranking the guest, the more portly, and therefore heavy they were. It was common at the time for the commanding officer of a ship to order up the jolly boat to send off a visiting dignitary, a senior officer, or promoted officer to their next command. In the early 1800s, the U.S. Navy set sail with new traditions that would last through modern times. In the mid-1800s, the U.S. Navy provided honors for enlisted crewmen. The ship's captain would allow the jolly boat to take the senior enlisted retiree ashore. After the Civil War, commanding officers held enlisted retirement ceremonies to show the crew that the Navy recognized the warfighting accomplishments for the enlisted crewmen. All hands was piped by the bosun. The crew was gathered at the main mast, and speeches were made, and great sea battles and victories won were tales told by all. The bosun prepared to pipe the side. We have a shipmate and Navy family going aside. Dr. Ozuna, will you please now deliver the benediction?
Real quick before I pray.
The U.S. Navy provided honors for enlisted crewmen. The ship's captain would allow the jolly boat to take the senior enlisted retiree. What is
that? There's a saying that behind a great man, there's a great woman, a great wife. This instance behind 3 great speeches were made. Good, a great mother, and I want her to say just one word for
Mijo, son, I'm so happy, and we're real proud of you. And yes, when you left, you were a little boy, and the next time I saw you, you were a man. And I know I probably got you in trouble one time because I called the Red Cross and I told them that you hadn't called me. They said, hey, do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember.
And yes, you called me right away after they called you. I'm thinking. But your dad warned me and he told me, he says, don't do it. He said, he's okay. And I said, no, I haven't heard from him. So I had to hear your voice. So that's why I did it. But you have been a great example for your country and your family. I know you love your family a lot. You're a great dad. And your kids and your wife. And I too, thank you for standing the watch for your country. And we love you with all our heart. And I'm so proud of you.
Congratulations, man. You deserve it. And here's to you.
I just say that I'm very proud of you, Michael. Very proud of Nathan, and very proud of Haley. I know you can hear me. I know that she's gonna be great and do real good in the Navy too. And thank you for making us very proud. I'm going to pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you again for this day. We thank you because you make it all possible. You've been good to my family. Thank you again for loving us. Bless our soldiers everywhere. Bless our country. And God, bless America. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Is that it?
So Mike, this is kind of the end. This is where normally we would have had you get ready to be piped ashore, man the rails, and you know, really show the pomp and circumstance. But there's one thing that I will tell you that always held true for kind of the ending of the ceremony, and that's requesting to go ashore for the last time. So Chief Ozuna will now ask Commander Mueller for permission to go ashore for the last time.
He's coming. Commander Mueller, request permission to go ashore.
Bosun, ring 8 bells. Electronics Technician Chief Submarines, Michael Ozuna, United States Navy and Navy family, retiring. So this would normally conclude our ceremony, ladies and gentlemen, but I wanted to obviously give everybody a chance. We don't have a receiving line for Mike, and but we're going to keep the Zoom up for a while. Get on if you can get on. It's on Facebook Live. Start making comments. I'm sure Mike will spend the rest of the day responding to those. But before that, you know, I kind of wanted to make a toast to Mike. So like I said, grab your COVID snacks and your favorite COVID drink. So going to use a quote that I found actually from Jane Goodall. So, you know, I used to use one that from Kennedy. I started burning that one out, so I had to find something else. So it says, she said, what you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. And I truly believe that Mike woke up every day saying, I'm going to make a difference in everybody's life I touch. So Mike, to you, thanks for making a difference.
Congrats, brother.
Yeah, Mike.
Cheers.
Thank you.
I wanted to I want to thank all our family and friends for giving us such great support throughout this time of my many surgeries and our son especially being autistic and needing the time. I really just wanted to say thank you to everybody. Well, this is the first time I can see many of you. Thank you. It meant more to me than you know. And I'm a big crybaby, even though I don't like crying. And I wanted to thank you for everything you've done for me. You're my best friend. And I'm so proud of you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Again, thank you guys. This is amazing. I think you guys put on something far greater than I ever would have thought of. what I was thinking of in my head. I really do appreciate it. You guys went above and beyond. Thank you. And thanks, Melissa and Sean. That was a very awesome video. Thank you. And thanks, Dave. Now I got to go tell my family that you were lying.
Thank you, Dave.
Hey, Mike, I have a question for you. All the commands you were on, I'd never heard you list you were the chief on the Nebraska.
I was going to say something about I don't need no hoo-yah speech from you.
No. No.
Hey,
Love
Mike
you,
and Sam.
Michael.
Love you.
Love you, Michael. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike and Sam. I love you guys. Sorry we couldn't be there for you, but this was best retirement I've seen in a while. So love you, brother.
Thank you, Jesse.
Hey, Mike, it's John Berg. I just want to tell you that, as you know, I've worked with every one of the SB chiefs since 1986. So that's going back a lot of years. I've had 14 by my count. And I can tell you, you were definitely ranked within the top 14. Now, you know you were up there, buddy. But I did have one very bad failure. I almost got out of the Navy. I was a senior chief at the time because of that. And that was some guy named Billy Mast, who used to be a Navy T. And then when he decided he had to work too hard to be a nav, to stay in the nav rate, he became a radio man. Good luck, Mike.
Thank you, John. Love you, brother.
Love you, man.
Don, I just wanted to take everything you taught me and improve the rate. That's all.
Hey, you did a fine job, Billy.
Oh, yeah.
Mike, where are you going to now?
I work for a company called Petrona. So I work with PMS 392.
Okay.
Oh, you got a better job?
So I know that you guys are in the process of packing up and moving out. I think next week is your move-in date or sometime real soon. Where you guys going to? Whereabouts you gonna be?
We found a home in Springfield.
Right near the
Nice.
mall.
Yeah, so it's actually, I think it's going to be faster to work because it's about 2 minutes from the 95.
Right.
So I don't have to ride Route 1 all the way down just to get on 95 anymore.
Do you
Hi,
need a
Carrie.
couple teenagers to help you move? We got them for rent.
Hey, you guys are more than welcome. I got 2 pork butts I'm probably going to smoke for everybody.
Nice. Hey, we should get a carpool going so you can still go down the 395 carpool.
Yeah, no kidding. You're gonna love the commute. It's really not bad from there.
Oh, no, I think it's going to be fine. Like I said, when building the ceremony, this would be the time that everybody's walking over to, what's that bar called on base?
Mordecai's.
Mordecai, yeah, Mordecai booth and eating barbecue, but that just couldn't happen. So